Good morning, everybody. We're going to continue with part 2 of the transversals and parallel lines lesson. So let me share my screen with you so you can see my notes. We have the same lesson objective today. Students will be able to identify angles in their measures when parallel lines are cut by a transversal. Today, we're going to be using what we know about parallel lines being cut by a transversal from last class to write and solve algebraic equations for like a missing variable or a missing angle. Again, what's highlighted is what you're expected to write. If you need to write more, feel free. So I broke down some steps for you. These are our steps. Step 1. What kind of angle pairs do you have? That's the first thing. Once you label the given information and look at what you're given, you kind of have to identify what angle relationships do you have. For example, are they alternate interior angles? Are they corresponding angles? Are they linear pairs? Like, what kind of relationship do you have? That's step 1. Step 2, based on the relationship you determine in step 1, are those two angles congruent or are they supplementary? Remember, if something is congruent, that means they're equal to each other. So when we build an equation, it's going to be one side has to equal the other side, okay? But if they're supplementary, that means you add them together and that's going to give you 180. So one angle plus the other angle should equal 180 degrees, okay? So again, congruent means equal to, make them equal to each other, but supplementary, you add them and you make them equal to 180. Okay, so now you write the algebraic equation, only write what's highlighted right there, and you're gonna use that to solve for the missing variable in step 4. We could solve it by hand, that's what I'm gonna show you, or you can use the intersection feature on Desmos. There's a link right there. The link to that is going to be desmos.com/ I think it's graphing. Desmos.com. Just go to desmos.com and click the graphing calculator. It should default to the graphing calculator. Okay, so example 1. If the measure of angle 5 equals 2x minus 10, that's important, I'm gonna box that. And the measure of angle 7 equals x plus 15, I'm gonna box that too. Find x, we're looking for x. And then solve for the measure of angle 7. Excuse me. Okay, so take your given and label it in the picture. That really helps to see what kind of relationship you have. So here's angle 5. Angle 5 is 2x minus 10. And here's angle 7. Angle 7 is x plus 15. Let me make that look neater because I'm not pleased with that. Okay, so what kind of angle relationships are those? Let me make it highlighted so you can see it better. We have this angle here, and we have this angle here. What kind of angles are those? They are corresponding angles. They're both in the bottom left corner. So we're going to call those corresponding angles. And if you look at your notes, from last class, corresponding angles are supposed to be what? Congruent or supplementary. These are supposed to be congruent. That means we're using the method where we set them equal to each other, like as above. One equals to the other. So in this first box, I'm going to put the first angle, 2x minus 10. In the middle, I'll put my equal sign. And in the second box, I'm going to put the measure of the other angle, which is x plus 15. So that's step 3. This is our equation. Okay, this is our equation. And we have to solve this for x. This is back to algebra 1. Circle the terms that contain a variable That's 2x and x. I want to move the x. You want the variables to end up on the left. So the one that's not on the left is the x. I want to move the x to the other side. This is a positive x. The opposite of positive x is negative x. So minus x on both sides. That cancels out. On the left, we have 2x. Take away 1x, and that leaves 1x, okay? Just x. Minus 10, you bring that down. Bring down the equal sign. Bring down 15, okay? Now I want to move my constant terms, which are the numbers that have no variable attached to them, to the right-hand side. The one that's in the incorrect place is that minus 10. What is the inverse of minus 10? That's going to be plus 10. Plus 10 on the left, plus 10 on the right. Whatever you do to one side, the equal sign, you have to do the other, so keep it consistent. On this side, it cancels out. Minus 10 plus 10 is 0, it cancels out. Bring down your x. X, bring down the equal sign, equals 15 plus 10 is 25. So there we go. We have one of our answers. It said solve for x. X is 25. But that part's done. But we need to find the measure of angle 7. Okay, we still don't know the measure of angle 7. But we know that the measure of angle 7 is supposed to equal x plus 15. We know x is 25. Put in a 25 where the x is, plus 15. 25 plus 15 is 40. So the measure of angle 7 is 40 degrees. Now we're done with that. There's example 1. All of them are going to be the same thing essentially. They're just going to look different a little bit. Some will have coefficients in front. Some you might have, so I'm going to just show you one of everything. So let's move on. Example 2. Write and solve an equation for x if measure of angle 4 is 4 parentheses x minus 25 close parentheses and measure of angle 8 equals 4x. What is the measure of angle 4? Okay. Again, step 1. What kind of angle pairs do you have? To know that, we have to label the picture, okay? So angle 4 and angle 8. Measure of angle 4 is going to equal 4 parentheses x minus 25. Measure of angle 8 is going to equal 4x. This one's tricky, okay? Now, if you look at angle 4, let me highlight it. And if you look at angle 8, do they have a relationship between them? Not really. So we're gonna have to take this, like, we're gonna have to like bridge the gap here a little bit, okay? Let's try and figure out angle 6. Let me change my color here. Angle 6. And the reason I pick angle 6 is because in the question it's going to want the measure of angle 4, and 6 is close to 4, so I just chose that. But anyway, there isn't a relationship between 6 and 8, okay? 6 and 8 are corresponding angles. We know from the previous problem, corresponding angles are congruent. So if the measure of angle 8 is 4x, the measure of angle 6 is 4x, okay? Now, when you look at angle 4 and angle 6 together, they form a straight line. They are linear pairs, okay? Linear pairs equal to 180. They're supplementary. So we're going to use the method with the two boxes where you add them together and make them equal to 180 degrees. So 4 parentheses x minus 25, that goes in the first box, plus 4x equals to 180 degrees, okay? This one we have to use the distributive property. So 4 times x is 4x. 4 times negative 25, okay? That's a negative. Is going to be minus 100. And then we just bring down the plus 4x equals to 180. Now we have to combine like terms. I see two quantities on the left that have an x. 4x plus 4x. If you have 4 puppies and then you bring in 4 more puppies, you now have 8 puppies. So that's going to be 8x. Bring down the minus 100. equals 180, okay? Just like in the last problem, move the constants to the right. Move this minus 100. Minus 100, the opposite or the inverse of that is plus 100. That cancels out. Negative 100 plus the 100 is 0. Bring down your 8x equal to 280. Okay, now this one's a little bit different from the last one, but we should remember that when we have a variable in front of when we have a number in front of the variable, that's multiplication. So let me do that in red so we can see. That's 8 times x, okay? And the opposite of times is division. So we're going to divide by the number in front of the variable. The number in front of the variable is 8. So we're dividing both sides by 8. Bring down the x equals 280 divided by 8 is 35. So the value of x is 35. But the question didn't really ask for x, so that's not really an answer. It asked for the measure of angle 4, okay? And we know the measure of angle 4 is equivalent to 4 parentheses x minus 25, close parentheses. So I'm going to put the 35 in for x. So I'm going to have 4 parentheses, 35 minus 25, close the parentheses. PEMDAS, you do what's inside the parentheses first. 35 minus 25 is 10. Bring everything down. 4 times 10 is 40 degrees. So again, the missing angle is 40 degrees. It's not always 40 degrees. That's a coincidence that the answers are the same. Okay. Last one. Given measure of angle 1 equals 9x plus 6, and the measure of angle 2 equals 2 times 5x minus 3, what is the value of x and y? So we're looking for x, we're looking for y, and then determine the measure of angle 3. Looking for 3 answers here. All right, label. Measure of angle 1, that's going to be 9x plus 6. Measure of angle 2, that's going to be 2 parentheses 5x minus 3. What is the value of x and y? Determine the measure of angle 3. Oh, there's a typo here. We're just looking for x. There's no y here. Okay. So 1 and 3, what kind of relationship do those have? Look at your notes from last time. Those are alternate exterior angles. And alternate exterior angles are congruent. So we're using this formula where they're equal to each other. So the measure of angle 1 has to equal the measure of angle 2. Angle 1 is 9x plus 6 equal to 2 parentheses 5x minus 3. Distribute on the right this time. 2 times 5x is 10x. 2 times minus 3 is minus 6. Bring down the 9x plus 6 on the left. Bring down your equal sign in the middle. Okay. Now, there's a lot, the beauty about algebra is you could do it multiple ways and get the same answer. But if I subtract, don't write this down, just look. If I subtract 10x and 10x, 10 is bigger than 9, so like I'm gonna get a negative on that side. I don't want that, okay? I want to stay away from negatives. I hate negative numbers. I mean, you have a calculator, but sometimes you forget to hit the negative and it just all goes wrong. So let's just leave it positive. I'm gonna flip sides, okay? I'm gonna move 10x minus 6 to that side, and I'm gonna move 9x plus 6 on the other side. It's optional. You could work with the negative. I just want to be simple, and I just don't want to do that. So now I'm going to do minus 9x minus 9x on both sides. That cancels out on the right and leaves nothing. Bring down the 6, bring down the equal sign. 10 donuts, take away 9 donuts, leaves 1 donut, 1x. We don't need to write the 1, it's invisible. Bring down the minus 6. So I'm gonna write this over here just so we have more room. X minus 6 equals 6. I now have to get rid of this minus 6 by adding 6. The inverse is addition, plus 6 plus 6. X equals 12. That's what my answer is, x equals 12. Now I have to determine the measure of angle 3. Look at the picture, something's weird. 3, there's nothing there. How do I know? Well, we know that 2 and 3 are corresponding angles. Corresponding angles are congruent. They are the same. So whatever angle 2 is, angle 3 should be, because they're the same. So we're going to find angle 3 using the information, using the expression from angle 2, which is 2, 5, x minus 3. I'm going to change that x to a 12 and put it in parentheses. Bring down the 5 minus 3, bring down the parentheses and the 2. You could type this right into desmos.com/calculate or just do it by hand. 5 times 12 is 60 minus 3. 60 minus 3 is 57 inside the parentheses times 2. 2 times 57 is 114 degrees. Again, you can use the calculator for that. So for this one, the final answer is x equals 12, and the measure of angle 3 is 114 degrees. Bye.